Hello, everyone. This is Miss Ava Hart. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2021. This video, I'm going to go over your first part one of your final exam. Final exams in my class are 5% of your final grade for quarter two. Final exams in my class are worth 5% of your final grade for quarter two. Once again, final exams in my class are worth 5% of your final grade for quarter two. That means that your grade can technically go up or go down based on what you score for your final exam. So this is what you score on your final exam. So based on the grade that you earn on your final exam, your grade could either go up or go down in my class, because final exams in my class are worth 5% of your grade. So you will have two parts to your final exam. This is the first part. You're going to type your name. You're going to put today's date or whatever date that you complete the final exam. Your hour, the hour in which you have me. The title of this assignment is I Have a Dream Final Exam Part 1. So when you go into Power School, you're going to see this as the title of the assignment. I Have a Dream Final Exam Part 1. It's going to go under exams for your Power School category. This is going under exam in your Power School, and it's worth 24 points. All right, I Have a Dream, Martin Luther King Jr. So in order to complete this, you must have your textbook and have your textbook open to the speech, I Have a Dream. So in order to complete this exam, you must have your textbook open to the speech, I Have a Dream. If you don't have your textbook, you need to locate the I Have a Dream speech on the internet, because you will need I Have a Dream, the actual speech. You will need it in order to complete part one of your final exam. So this part one has three parts to it. So part one is multiple choice. It's worth 8 points, which means each one that you get correct or that you answer correctly, you will receive 2 points for. So the main focus of King's speech is on A, celebrating the anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, B, convincing everyone to live in peace and tranquility, C, ending segregation and racial injustice in America, D, getting more money for America's Black population. Number 2, so you just choose the letter of the correct answer. Just choose the letter of the correct answer. Number 2, this is worth 2 points. King's I Have a Dream speech appeals mainly to listeners' A, common sense, B, sense of guilt, C, desire for a better future, D, concerns about America's status among the world's nations. Number 3, this is worth 2 points. In I Have a Dream, Martin Luther King Jr. urges his followers to A, work toward gradual change, B, demand justice now, C, use any means necessary, or D, distrust white people. Number 4, which repeated phrase in King's speech has additional power because it is from a familiar patriotic song? A, I Have a Dream, B, 100 Years Later, C, Now is the Time, or D, Let Freedom Ring. So part 1 is multiple choice, and you receive 2 points for each question that you answer correctly. And all you have to do is just mark the correct letter. Indicate the correct letter or the correct letter for your answer. So part 2 is vocabulary, words in context. So these 3 words, legitimate, reconciliation. So we have legitimate, reconciliation, and mobility. These 3 words are used in the speech, I have a dream. You need to tell me for part 2, what is the definition of the underlined word? So, number 5, this is worth 6 points. So, once again, just mark the mark the correct letter for the correct answer. You can highlight it, check it, you can type the letter, however you choose to tell me that this is the right answer for this particular question. So, part 2, 6 points. Each one is worth 2 points. You are to tell me the correct definition of the underlined word. So, legitimate is used in the speech, I have a dream. So, number 5, a legitimate concern is A, reasonable, B, false, C, questionable, or D, legal. So what does legitimate mean? If you have a legitimate concern, what type of concern do you have? Is it A, reasonable, B, false, C, questionable, or D, legal? It should be no reason that you get any of the questions or the vocabulary words wrong in part 2 because you're allowed to use a dictionary. So that's number 5. Number 6, if people have a reconciliation, they return to a state of being A, friends, B, enemies, C, prisoners, or D, soldiers. Based on how this word is used in this sentence in context, tell me what reconciliation means. So if people have a reconciliation, they return to a state of being A, friends, B, enemies, C, prisoners, or D, soldiers. You may also go to the I Have a Dream speech and see how the words are used in context to help you understand what the word means, or you can use a dictionary. Number 7, a man who seeks mobility wants to A, convince others, B, buy a house, C, go to a different place, or D, improve his situation. So what does the word mobility mean as it's used in the sentence, as it's used in context? So a man who seeks mobility wants to A, convince others, B, buy a house, C, go to a different place, or D, improve his situation. You may use the speech, I have a dream, and identify or locate the underlying words and see how they're used in context to help you define the words, or you can use a dictionary. All right, and the last part is part 3. It is worth 10 points. Recall the ideas in King's speech. Then answer the question in 1 or 2 sentences. So here it is. According to King, the founders who signed the Constitution wrote African Americans a bad check. What does he mean? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and edit this document, and I'm going to actually copy and paste the part of Dr. King's speech where he mentions a bad check so that you can have it here on the document so you can read it in context. And you have to tell me, what did Dr. King mean when he said that the people who signed the Constitution wrote African Americans a bad check? That is worth, this section right here is worth 10 points. Explain your answer in one or two sentences. So I just went over part one of your final exam. I'm going to suggest that you take this seriously. Don't rush through it so that you can just hurry up and be done with it. I'm giving you 2 weeks to complete the final exam. Take your time. Do not rush through it, because what you score on this final exam can either bring your grade up or it can bring your grade down. Take your time. Take your time. Do not rush through the final exam. I am giving you 2 weeks to complete it. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. This is part one of the final exam. It is worth 5% of your grade. This is Miss Ava Hart, and I will talk to you on the next video.